Here are 5 things I wish I knew when I started my business back in 2013 and what I would do now in 2026 to build a high earning freelance writing business with 5-figure months, dream clients, and get rid of the feast and famine, the burnout, the overwhelm, all the ugly stuff. I'm Mandy Ellis and I built a 6-figure freelance writing business. And now I teach other freelance writers how to get those 5-figure months, those dream clients, how to remove the burnout, the overwhelm, the cycle of sadness, all that good stuff. Number one, you need to learn the systems and processes of each phase of your business. So there are different phases that you go through, whether you're starting out as a newbie with about 0 to 1 or 1.5 years of experience, then like 2 to 3, then 3 to 5, then 5 to 7, and then 7 to 10, and then 10 plus, 10, 15, and beyond. You need to learn those processes and systems for each phase. So each time you're kind of getting through this kind of level of overwhelm. When you start this thing, you're like, I have to learn all this new stuff. I'm doing all these things. But each phase of your business is different. So you might first start out with like, hey, what does a good diamond client look like? What does a green light client like? What does this high paying client as a freelance writer, copywriter, content marketing writer, content strategist actually look like? How are they different than other types of clients? Or why are they so different than red light clients? And that's different at each phase because you learn more and more about your ideal clients. So you change how they look through each phase. The next thing is that you need to learn that marketing pipeline. The very beginning of your business is just like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, how do I send a letter of introduction, an LOI? How do I send a good pitch? What am I doing with my LinkedIn and website? Then as you learn more about your best projects that you actually like to do, the clients who are a good fit for you, what your clients say on calls, all the good stuff about like budget or what does that client look like or how would you describe your skills, those change in those phases of your business. But you need to actually do the systems and processes of the marketing pipeline throughout each phase. So that means sending your 50 to 75 LOIs or pitches a month. That means spending at least an hour a day on marketing. If you have no work, all your time should be marketing. But you also need to learn that your LinkedIn and website need to pull in those ideal clients. They are living beings that over time you're going to update, but you need to learn how to speak that tuning fork technique to your clients, which basically means you need to speak the same language as your high paying clients. This isn't like you start your website and you're like, for the love of God, hire me. You have to learn that high paying client language and put it in your LinkedIn and website. And then your LOIs and pitches, you will refine those over time. It's okay to go after clients who are aspirational. In fact, I encourage students and writers of all different levels to go after aspirational or dream clients, because if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. So you want to make sure you know that marketing pipeline. You're sending things out. You're planting as many seeds as possible. You're putting as many irons in the fire as possible. The third point here in our learn the systems and processes is we need to get those client calls going. We need to make sure we're setting our boundaries around hours and when we're actually answering clients, what we'll put up with a client, or how will our best communication techniques with a client. Does that mean you're using email or Slack or Voxer or phone calls? And you need to make sure that you're getting that pricing and payments set up when you're doing kind of your contracts and negotiation process. If you're looking for something that can be helpful with pricing specifically, you can go to mandyellis.com/pricing guide to grab my free pricing guide. And if you're looking for those client call questions, I know this is kind of back to back, but they make sense. So if you want to make sure you're getting those right client call questions for 2026, you can grab my free seasoned veteran cheat sheet. If you go to mandyellis.com/cheat sheet, it will give you the checklist you need to follow for your marketing, the checklist of questions that you need to answer in your LinkedIn and your website, the questions you need to ask on client calls, and the steps that you need to go through to onboard. So that's the other thing. And then I would go into number 2 here. So number 2, if I was starting my business over, you need to know the numbers and track your data. So that means you're tracking revenue versus profit versus expenses. That means you're tracking your taxes. That means you know your LOI and pitch response rate for pitches. Like, so right now I would say LOIs right now in this kind of Q4 space, 8 to 10% is kind of what I'm seeing in terms of response rate. And then pitches is about the same, like 5 to 10% pitch response rate from magazines. But you need to make sure you're tracking these numbers. You know who's responding, you know what projects they do, you know who your best clients are. You have data on like who became a client and why. You know exactly why you have the certain profit and revenue split that you do. If you're confused about that, I definitely recommend reading Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. That changed my business. But knowing your numbers, like that's something I had no idea about when I started. And if I was starting my business in 2026, knowing your numbers is how you actually expand your freelance writing business. If you don't know your numbers, not just income, not just the amount you're making per month, if you don't know the marketing numbers, if you don't know, the numbers of revenue versus profit versus expenses, if you don't know the tracking of the data of like what your clients make in terms of revenue, what projects, like what types of content they're creating consistently, what title you're usually targeting, what niches you're in, it messes with your business a ton. You need to know those things. Did you find that numbers piece helpful? For me, I ignored the numbers for way too long. So if you're going in here and you're like, I need more help with the numbers, give me a thumbs up or put it in the comments that you're like, hey, can you walk me through that numbers thing? What am I looking at? What does it look like? Help me with that. So give me a thumbs up if that's something that you want me to go into further. You can also have AI help you with this. So you can put your LOI spreadsheets or your pitch spreadsheets or let AI know about your past clients and say, hey, tell me which ones are my best clients, like in terms of revenue or in terms of projects, and like kind of deconstruct the data in these spreadsheets. And AI can really help with that. And it can also give you lists of potential companies to target and competitors. And if you're someone who is serious about getting out of feast and famine, about knowing your numbers and data so that you can get to those better clients, so that you can actually understand what a green light or a high paying client looks like, grab my free masterclass. So it's the Feast and Famine to Fully Booked masterclass. It is helping you go from underpaid, overworked, and ghosted as a freelance writer to booked solid with those high paying clients in 4 steps. If you go to mandyellis.com/free masterclass, I'm walking you through it. And I'm walking you through in detail a whole bunch of things that you need to know for 2026 about clients, their habits, what they look like, things that you need to do in your business to get to the next level. And really actually a bunch of things that we're going over in the rest of this video in more detail, backing it up with all the data and the facts from my own business. So number 3 here. Number 3 we're going into is that you need to know the top 5 freelance writing projects of your ideal clients. So when you go to a client's website, what are they doing? Are they typically doing blog posts? Are they typically doing case studies? Are they typically doing a lot of like, white papers, or are they doing sales pages? Do they have places for people to share their email? You need to analyze each client's website and keep those notes in your LOI spreadsheet. This was something I didn't do. I was just like, oh, this client has a website. Sounds like I should send them an LOI. So you don't need to have 10,000 clips. You don't need to like convince everyone or prove that you're the best. You need to actually track more things. And the more that you can track these types of projects, whether it's, you notice it's like an earlier stage company and they might need help with getting a plan together, which is content strategy, or it might be messaging and positioning, or it's more long form content like you're working on thought leadership or research articles, or you're working on ghostwriting books with CEOs. Like there is tons and tons of stuff that you can see in how they're building their website that you can go back and market those projects out. You need to kind of know that what your ideal clients are creating. So then you put that on your website and your LinkedIn, and you can put it in your LOIs too. But you're going in there with the idea, like you already know kind of what the content is that they're doing. For me, when I started, I just didn't know. I was just like, I'll do all the projects. I'll say yes to anything. And I think going into 2026, what can really help is that you're looking for what are things they do consistently? What are the things that I'm getting on these client calls and they're asking for specific types of content over and over again that I can make a package out of? Is there stuff that I'm noticing that they might need a consultative type workshop on? Is there stuff that they're repeating over and over again in the same niche that they're doing all the time as a specific type of content that you would like to get into, or that could help you, move into a bigger project type? So you need to kind of track those things. It's just part of your initial client research to go through their website and get all of these different types of pieces down. And this could also be going through the buyer or the audience journey. So you go to their website, see the free content, what other things they have. Do they have classes? Do they have sales pages? Do they have landing pages? Do they have a place where they send a newsletter? What other parts of their funnel are in there? And what other things can you kind of help them with? We need to get a very good grip on the types of content that they're working on so that we can start making packages, or we can start seeing how their buyer journey works, how their content funnel works. Number 4, I would really work hard on fear and scarcity. This was something that held me back for so long. And I think especially now where people feel like things are on shaky ground and they're nervous and they don't know how things are going to shake out, I think it's better for you to shoot your shot than hold yourself back. So instead of worrying about things you can't control, instead of being like, well, this thing is happening and this thing and this thing, you can't control that. You can focus on the things like sending out your LOIs, or doing research on your top clients, or figuring out the type of revenue your top clients have, or making sure you're learning about how to price your projects, or doing a really good job on your content, or tracking data in your business, right? All of those things, the things you can control, the effort that you are putting in every single day into your business, and you working on needle moving activities, things that actually move your business forward. Those are the things that we want to focus on versus fear and scarcity, or what's happening in the outside environment. Like, yes, there's a lot of stuff going on. Most of it we can't control, but especially when we're looking at your business, when we can control our attitude and our effort, that's what we want to zero in on. What are the things you're doing every single day with a good attitude and with good effort that are putting your business forward, versus focusing on fear and scarcity? There's no work, there's no clients, all of that stuff that you can't control. There's plenty of work, there are plenty of clients out there, just like every other time that we have been freelance writers. I've been a freelance writer for, almost 13 years. I've talked to plenty of freelance writers who have been doing this for like 30 years or more. And there's always working clients if you're doing the needle moving activities, if you're paying attention to the data and you're getting away from stuff you can't control and really focusing on what you can control. Number 5 here, I would learn how AI can help me with surrounding writing tasks. So what that means is I'm going to draw my line in the sand that I'm not going to have AI help me with writing. There is so many holes there. There's copyright infringement. There can be proprietary data that your clients don't want to go into an AI tool. You could be violating an NDA. There's a lot of things that can get really messy when you're using AI to actually write. And I think most writers got into writing to actually write, not to use AI to write faster. I think that for me, I think you need to figure out your line in the sand. My line in the sand is I will use AI up until I start writing something. So I will use it to compile research. I will use it to help me digest large data reports that I need. I will use it as a way to search around for different ideas or angles or things I might be missing on a topic, just like I would for a Google search, because Google and AI together are kind of buddies, because Google is like information happening right now. AI is like kind of dated. It's like 2 to 3 years old. But I would find automation options. I would find ways to improve my workflows with AI, or I would figure out, use it as a brainstorming tool for ideas for pitches for magazines. I would use it to analyze my business data and numbers. I would have it help me look at my business and ask strategic questions like, how can I improve this? Is there a way to do that? Is there a tool I'm missing? But I would draw my line in the sand of actually using it to help me write. And I get it. Everybody has a different thing. And going into 2026, I think just like it took about 10 years for SEO to really shake out and for us to start using it properly instead of keyword stuffing. So that took about 10 years. I think it'll be about 5 years before the AI stuff really all shakes out and we kind of all figure out the way that we use it strategically. If you've been using AI in a bunch of different ways or things that I didn't even mention here, I would love to know below. So put that in the comments. Let me know how you're using AI as a freelance writer, how you're incorporating it into different pieces of your business. I'm always curious about how people are using AI and different strategies that I can help you learn more of. So let me know in the comments what you're using AI for. But for me, I think the best thing is to set a policy on it, whether you use it for writing or not, and make that policy available. So put that policy on your website and say, hey, here's how I'm using AI. make that publicly available, be open with your clients about it. And there are some clients who do not want you to use AI for anything. I think that's totally fine. Like I said, there's copyright infringement issues, there are proprietary data issues, there are lots of things that clients don't want to be put into an engine that then learns this stuff and shares it with everybody. So I would be careful about that, but you put an AI policy somewhere, but use it as the tool that it's meant to be, like workflows, or using it to analyze data or compile reports or help you get a jump start on doing research for something, or how to automate things or find tools or competitors or companies that you can send LOIs to, all that good stuff. So I think if I was starting over, all of these things would really help me jumpstart my business a lot quicker. I wouldn't make as many mistakes. I would have a lot more tools at my fingertips and strategies and systems. And I would be able to actually move through the different phases of my business a lot quicker in the right direction. So I always tell people, I always tell writers, you want to do direction over speed. This is direction that then allows you to get speed a lot quicker, which I think can really help you accelerate your business. And if you're someone who does want to accelerate your business, make sure to check out that free masterclass of mine. If you go to mandyellis.com/free masterclass, you can grab my Feast and Famine to Fully Booked masterclass, where I'm going through more of these things in detail. And you can grab all the notes, all the good stuff. Next time, we are going to talk about how we're going to end a lot of our year. We're going to go through the pieces that are helping you wrap up, to make the most of it, to not just go into nap time at the end of the year. So if you're someone who's like, hey, I want to end the year strong and set myself up for a fantastic 2026, I want you to watch this video right here. I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you next time.